Alright guys, how you doing? This is Coffee Chug, and what I want to do is create a series of videos on a whole bunch of different ways in which you can make your very own Artbots, your very own scribblebots. And so what we're going to be using, this very first one, we're going to try to create one that doesn't require any glue or any kind of major tools. And so this one here is going to be real simple, and then in future videos we're going to add some more layers using hot glue and maybe some other tools with some cutters and wire strippers and things like that. But for now, we're going to start with the cup. You can use anything you want. I've made these with this kind of cup. I made them with little tiny glass jars. I've made them with Pringle cans. And so you can use any kind of container. You don't want it real heavy, but we're going to use this one here. We're going to have 3 markers for the legs. This is what's going to create the beautiful art. You can get any kind of markers that you want. These are just cheap ones from the dollar store. I have one DC motor right here that we're going to use. Requires, up to about 3 volts, but we can go down as low as use a regular just AA battery to make this work. I always like to use the trusty little clothespin. You can use regular size or little. I've seen people use corks and other kind of things. Whatever you want to use, we're going to use these to create some leverage to actually make the robot move. And then I'm also going to use a popsicle stick. And so this is just one I found in our junk drawer. We're going to use this as well. So let's dive into it. So the first thing that I like to do, you could just randomly put your markers on its legs any place you want. But one of the things that I have found over time is that I like to make sure that they're stable, because if you don't get these quite right, your robot can fall over with the weight. And so here's a really easy way to make sure your legs are on appropriately, or at least evenly balanced. I like to use some pipe cleaner, and I'm just going to wrap all the way around, and I can see that this is just about 1 pipe cleaner. I'm a little bit short. We're gonna round and say that it's 1 length of pipe cleaner. And then I'm gonna go to my ruler here, and I'm gonna measure this, and I'm gonna see that my pipe cleaner is almost 11 inches. So we're gonna do some math, and we're gonna do 11 divided by however many legs you want to use. So I've got 3. So you can do this on paper, but for the sake of the video, I'm gonna divide here, and I know that it's just about 3.5 inches. So what I can do then is I can take my pipe cleaner and I can measure out about 3.5 inches. And so I'm going to go right here. I'm going to measure, actually it was 3.66, so I'm just going to go 3 3/4. So I can see that it's right here. And I'm just going to bend this. It doesn't have to be an exact science. So I'm going to start. If I go right here, I know that I want 1 marker here, so I'm just going to make a little mark so I can come back to it. And then I'm going to mark right where this fold is here. And then I'm going to do 1 more right there. This just kind of helps keep it evenly balanced. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, but sometimes it just makes life easier in the long run, especially when you're trying to troubleshoot. And so I know where they're marked. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out some duct tape here, and I'm going to go ahead and lay this out. And what we can do is I can actually just lay this out to be the 11 inches, and I'm just going to go a little bit longer just so we can secure it. So check this out. I'm going to lay my duct tape out. I'm a little over 11 inches, which is okay. And what I'm going to do is I got the sticky side up. And so now I can just kind of go to every 3.25 inches, 3 3/4, and I'm just going to stick my marker right there on that tape. And so I know 3 3/4, 3.75 plus 3.75 is 7.5. Check out the brains on this bald guy here, huh? Let's stick that there. And then obviously we'll have 1 more right around at 11 if we were correct. So 10, right at 11. I'm going to go just a smidge over. Now this should just line up then with my notches that I have on my container. So now I know my markers are somewhat straight as well. And I'm just going to find my first little mark that I marked on the cup. Actually, that's a different cup. Here's my cup. And I'm just going to line this up just like this. And now I can just run this tape all the way across. So this is a good way, especially with working with kids or on your own, you can incorporate some math and start to bring some of those elements into these creative projects. So I'm just going to run this right along the edge. And then what I might need to do, just because I got the markers woven in underneath them, I'm going to need a little bit more tape. So I'm going to make sure my legs are standing straight up as much as they can. And I'm just going to put another round of tape right over these guys. So here we go. This is just going to strengthen so they don't go falling all over the place. Really pressing in tight on these markers so they don't go anywhere. Boom, there we go. That should be pretty stable. That looks pretty good. Alright, so now our next step, because we don't want to use glue or any kind of tools, we're going to use this popsicle stick. And I'm actually just going to go ahead and tape this bad boy onto the top, like so. But before I do that, I'm actually going to take my motor, I'm going to tape my motor on to this popsicle stick. So I'm going to stick it clear on the edge. I don't want the popsicle stick to be below this little motor port because we're going to need something that's going to spin around it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this duct tape, split it in half, and then I can just tape this directly onto the popsicle stick. The nice thing about tape as you're using it is nothing's ever permanent. So when we go in our later builds and we start to use hot glue and things like that, you really want to make sure you have things the way you want, just because it can ruin the motor and stuff like that when you try to pull it all apart. So I'm going to do that, and I'm just going to stick a little bit of tape right here in these joints just to kind of secure my wires in a little bit. Alright. So now we've got that. Now I'm going to tape my marker on, or my tape on. I mean my popsicle stick. I'm just going to push these wires up. I'm just going to tape this right over the side like so, just to hold this in place. This extra tape that I had. There we go. Just to secure that. I think we're in good shape there. It's really coming along well. Okay, now our next step is we gotta get some power to this bad boy. What I want to do is I'm going to tape on my little tiny clothespin. I've got a little guy here, right here. And what I like to do is this. Pull a little bit of tape here, strip that in half. And the clothespin has a little notch from where it has the spring load. I like to lock that up just right there like that. And I'm just going to tape this straight on. And it should be enough to kind of hold that in place. I'll fold this tape over. I'll slide him back on. Stick him in there just like so. Alright guys, so once you've got your clothespin attached on, and it's just real easy to take on and off, and you can put whatever you want on the end of the motor, what you're basically doing, you just need something that's going to create a counterbalance, which is what's going to cause this robot to move when it's rocking and rolling. And so what you want to do, you can use a AA battery, you can use coin cell batteries, you can use two of these, you can use a combination. It doesn't really matter. What I've got on mine is I have a 9-volt battery. But what you can do, I'll go ahead and take this off here just so you can kind of see some options. On my popsicle stick, that's what I like to use, the popsicle stick. It makes for a nice little leverage for these batteries. And so if I put the AA battery across this way, and I just press these together here like so, we've got some power. And then I could just tape the ends. I could tape this battery down, and then I could just tape the ends together, and we're in good shape. Now when you tape these ends together, if it doesn't work, sometimes it just helps to put a little bit of like a not a band-aid, a rubber band on the edge of the battery, like so, and that just helps secure that connection. You could do some other things where if you wanted more power, so this is 1.5 volts, this one here is 3 volts, you could connect the negative or the positive side to the negative. You could combo these together if you were running out of room. So I could put these together like this, and it goes even faster. And I could tape that down and secure them that way. But just for the sake of this video, I'm going to use a 9-volt battery. This is really powerful. It's probably almost too fast. But what I can do is I can tape this way here on the end of the popsicle stick. Make sure it's nice and secure so it doesn't take off on me. And then what you can do is you can just stick the wires right in the holes. And so it makes for a really easy way to turn it on and off. And when I do this, it's going to take off like crazy. And away we go. And then I can just pull those out. So you could tape the battery down and use one of these or 2 of those. And then when you're rocking and rolling here, I'll turn this paper over. This is with my 9-volt, but you can use any batteries we talked about. Stick it in there, and away we go. We've got art. So there's your very first little Artbot. Boom. Shakalaka. So I can just go through and just finish in designing him, kind of turn him into a mummy or some sort of design. And so I might just go through and just kind of wrap him up a little bit more. And this white duct tape that I've already started to use. And then I might just throw some decorations on this guy. I'm just going to wrap him up kind of haphazard, just kind of like what I envision I guess a mummy to look like. I guess I've never seen a mummy with marker legs, but you know. Part of creativity, right? We can do whatever we want, however we want. I'll just stick him on there. I'll do one more rope. Just kind of hide some of the green here. Boom. I could add some decorations. I got some googly eyes. So these are actually pretty sharp. I could just stick these right here on them. Just like so. And then I've got my very own Artbot without using any glue or tools. Bada bing, bada boom. Alright guys, let me know what you think. And coming up, I've got several more videos of different ways to make these Artbots, so stay tuned. We've got this one, we've got this one, and we've got a lot more awesome ones that I'm not ready to unveil yet. Alright guys, if you make something cool, please, please, please send me a picture, link a video in the comments. I'd love to see what you do, other great ideas, and together, let's just keep making awesome work.